Again, if anybody has any questions, we'll go and address them at the end of each session. So the first session is just going to be an overview of the system. I just want to really walk everybody through the system and just kind of highlight the major areas. We will be going through each one of these sections today, whether it's in great detail or little detail, depending on how much time we have, and then we'll be following up again after this call as well. So when you log in to Operate, this is going to be the main screen that you see. Some of you have actually already gotten invited to the system, and as we add the additional location information, we will be able to invite you to the system as well, so you can see all of your data in the system. Now, moving through the system, there's some really good resources in here that I like to raise to all of you. First and foremost, when you log in, one of the first things that you should do is navigate to the top right-hand corner where you see Venture Admin. This will actually be where you will see your name. So if you hover over that and scroll down to My Profile and click into that, what you will see is an area for you to fill out all of your information. You want to make sure that your first name, your last name, your job title, if you want to go ahead and add a photo in there, it'll populate up here. Make sure your phone number and your email are correct, as well as the company name and the address of your company. I think one of the most important sections here is this time zone. You want to make sure that it's set for the time zone that you're in, because this is going to affect your calendars moving forward. On the right-hand side, you will also see that the privacy settings are listed here. You can also reset your own password at any time. We actually, at Census, do not have access to that. That being said, if you continue to forget your password and you hit the Forget Password button, you can easily, again, come in here and reset it at any time so that moving forward it's something a little more memorable. Another important feature of the My Profile, again in the top right-hand corner under My Profile, is your email signature section. If you click into this, it will bring you to an area that looks much like Word, that will allow you to create your signature within the system. So any email that's sent from the system will automatically populate this, just like in your email server. So usually what we suggest is you come in and you type in your email signature. Now, what I don't want you guys to do is copy and paste from what you're using currently in your emails, because of the reason that your links and or logos may not populate correctly. So usually what I suggest is you come to the insert link, you click on that, you can put the URL and then whatever you want the text to show as the URL. And you can also click the insert image button, and you can either click into here or drop image directly into here and it'll populate your logo. Again, sometimes if you copy and paste it into the system, it doesn't format properly when you're sending it out of the system. So we usually suggest that you use the insert image and the link for anything that you're using regarding your email signatures. Now I come over to the right, I click Use My Signature and Save, and now going forward, any email that I sent out of the system will have that email signature attached. So that's usually something that I suggest everybody, as soon as you log in, just go in the top right-hand corner and start to work on that. You will also see me hit Operate to get to the home screen. I usually suggest that this is how you go back into the system or start fresh from the home screen. If you use the back button, since we are cloud-based software, it tends to cache additional information that you already sent to the system. So it's just best practice to hit the Operate button every time you want to navigate back to the home screen. In the top right-hand corner, you also see you can log out from the system here. By hitting the logout button, it'll just simply log you out of the system. Please note that the system will automatically log you out after about 45 minutes of inactivity. It's for safety reasons, and it's also for browser history and browser settings. Finally, on the bottom, you also see a version that you are currently running. Sometimes if you're reaching out for help, we will ask you to go ahead and tell us which version you're showing on your computer. Sometimes browsers don't update, or you're running a lower version of the browser instead of the most recent. So sometimes if you're having issues with the system, it's more than likely that the system or your browser didn't update to the most recent version of our software, and we always ask. So if you're looking for the version, it's always going to be shown here. Now, we do have a lot of help features in the system for you guys as soon as you get started, and we urge you to use them as much as possible. First and foremost, if you look in the top right-hand corner, you do see this little question mark. We call that our knowledge base or our help database. If you click on that, it will open another browser that will bring you to basically every article about everything that's in the Operate system, as well as our Connect software. Now, anything with the word operate in it is going to be what you're going to navigate if you have questions within the system. So if I type in glossary because I just want to know the glossary of terms within operate, you'll see that operate glossary comes up. And as I scroll through, you'll see a definition of almost everything in the system that we feel that you might need additional information on. If we start talking about the sales module here, again, anything that has something with sales in it, it's going to pull up and you can just navigate through here. So we usually suggest if you have a question about something in the system that you actually come in and just type your question or what you're looking for right into this knowledge base. And what that will do is actually allow the system to pull up these articles for you, which are basically step-by-step guides of either how to do something or additional information on that module itself. Now in the bottom right-hand corner when you log in, unfortunately you won't see it today on my screen, but once you guys log into the system, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see this chat bubble. What that does is automatically connect you with our first line support team. Myself as well as a lot of my colleagues will be there pretty much from early morning UK time till West Coast close time. So at the moment, we're covering all time zones. And anytime you have a question or you feel the knowledge base articles have not helped you out, we urge you again to just connect there. No question is too big or little. If you're having issues with the software or you just are stuck in something, we're going to connect immediately with you through that chat bubble and be able to hopefully work out the issue. Now, if it's something that we're not understanding or we feel like we can't get through through typing it, we'll actually send you a Zoom link like we're doing today, and you can actually just log in and we'll screen share and kind of get through the problem with you. If it's something that requires our development's attention, what we will do is raise an internal case. So we'll provide you with a case number and we'll notify you along the way when our dev team is looking at the issue or when a fix has been released for whatever's happening. Hopefully we never have that, but occasionally, you know, there's some things with technology that happen. So always use that chat feature, no matter how big or little, reach out. Our team knows that you guys are currently onboarding, so any questions they'll field through me, or any issues they'll go ahead and help you get through. We don't want you stuck and feeling like you never have an option to reach out or you have to wait for it. So going forward, you guys have direct access to our help desk, so you don't actually have to reach out to Rocky or team. You can reach out directly to us and we'll start to help you. So again, use that chat button and also use the knowledge base to your advantage as much as possible. Also, you'll see this getting started with Operate. Depending on which area you are in the software, we have what we call our nickeled guides. Basically, these guides will walk you through, you know, how to navigate the system, the recycle bin, managing your profile, everything that we'll kind of go over today. We'll give you additional how-to videos at your fingertips. So if you hit the X button, these will close out permanently so that you don't see them, or you can just hit this down arrow and it'll kind of minimize it so it's not in your way, but you might want to kind of view those at a later time. Now, if you close these by accident, I can reset them in the system. So just reach out to me and I can go ahead and do that for you. So those are some of your main help areas. Again, we don't want you to feel alone in the onboarding. I'm always here. You guys can reach out to me via email, and I'll be sending emails to each location after this as well with all of the notes and some follow-ups. Now, in the right-hand side, we do have what we call a recycle bin. At the moment, what it does is collect everything that's deleted from the system. So don't feel worried if by accident you delete something that you need back. Do go ahead and reach out to Rocky or myself and we can restore it back into the system so that you guys will actually be able to just see it as though it never was deleted. So we like to have this catch-all feature so that it actually doesn't, again, delete something that you might need when you're first getting started. So don't worry about that. You will also see in the top right-hand corner, we have this little mailbox here. We have in the system what we call two-way emailing. So if you guys send your first initial email from the system, or the system automatically generates an email, what our system will do is track any responses from the customer and automatically show them in their account or contact record so that you guys don't have to kind of copy and paste an email trail or worry about that. All of that will be stored in the system as a record keeper for you guys moving forward. As you see, our system is set up into what we call modules, and that's each of these sections up top. So just going through a quick overview of these modules, what I like to bring up is we have different user security groups in the system. And basically, you know, you have someone like Rocky, who's our super admin user. He will be able to make any changes or major updates to certain areas of the system. And then you guys have your center managers, or, you know, that kind of security group at the moment where you guys can go in and you pretty much have access to all of your data, except for some of the templates and things like that that we'll be kind of handling on our end. This way there's no major issues going forward. And finally, you have something like a reception front desk access that can be just kind of a read only. So when we invite users to the system, Rocky will be taking care of that, or myself, and we will be able to get you up and running based on certain security groups or user settings. And that's why we have the system kind of set up in different modules, because, you know, the accounting team might not care about what's going on with sales, but you might want sales not kind of messing around with the accounts receivable. So moving forward, we have our portal area. In our system, we have a member portal that we'll be discussing. This is where your members can be invited. They can log in and either pay their bills, see any announcements or events that you're running, just a general overview of allowing your users to connect within their community. So there's a lot of great things about our member portal that we'll be discussing in the future, and this is kind of where you'll manage it on your end. Under charges, this is going to be where our point of sale is located. So your one-time charges, how you can create what we call batch sheets in the system. So if you're charging customers for late fees all at once, you can charge about as many customers as you want for one type of product group, and we'll walk through all of those. And we can also do device imports. So if you have a copy machine or a call logger through Ascensus, you have the ability to import those charges directly in the system so that you can run it through the next bill run. Under the invoicing tab, this is where your customer's accounts receivable or anything that they have paid or owe is going to fall. We also have credit notes here. So if you guys raise an invoice that needs to be credited back to the customer for some reason, this is how we'll handle it in the system. All invoices and draft invoices in the system, when you create an invoice, it's automatically going to create an invoice in draft form. You have to actually approve the invoice and send it to the customer before it's active in the system. It's kind of like a check for you guys so that you know if you raise an invoice, it's not automatically going to get sent out. It gives you a chance to kind of check over and make sure they weren't overcharged or everything looks correct again before it goes out to the customer. So we have two sections there. And then the bill run, that's something that I'll be doing separate with each location because you all do your bill run separately. So the bill run is going to be your monthly charge to the customer, whether it's your ad hoc one-time charges, your variable fees, or your recurring monthly charges as well on your agreements. Under the sales section, this is where we're going to be managing all of your leads and your opportunities, as well as you can see a sales dashboard. Under space, this is going to be a very important section for you guys. First and foremost, if your location is in the database, what I suggest you guys do is come into your location and start to add additional information there. This is something that you guys are actually responsible for. So if I scroll down and I say West Palm Beach as an option, I'm going to hit this green pencil. Now the green pencil in the system is always going to be what you're going to use to edit what I call a record. This X button is going to be the ability to delete something. Again, you don't really want to delete any information in our system. You're not paying for storage, it's cloud-based. So everything should be a record of keeping here. So I usually suggest you shouldn't ever really need to delete anything into the system unless it's a blatant mistake. So if I click this edit button, what it's going to do is pull me into this particular location. And again, you're going to find your location when you sign in. And this is something that you guys want to start to update under your location. You want to put your site name, make sure the address is correct, as well as your opening and closing time, the main telephone number, and the main email for that location. Your building amenities, we can add additional if you have them and you don't see them here. So you can easily just move these by clicking this. and hitting the right arrow over to the right-hand side, which means now we know that this location has a gym. If you scroll down to Site Manager, you can enter the manager's name, the manager's email address, mobile cell phone number, and update a nice photo or image. Again, this information is going to be used on the new VentureX website. They're going to be using these fields to kind of populate it at all times. So this is something, again, you want to come in and update in full. Site photos is something, again, you want to come in and update. As we start to develop the system, we'll be creating online plans with each account, so you guys can sell your products online, so customers can easily go in and buy them, and they'll be able to see your photo images for your location here. So as you get them, please update them. Building contact information is really helpful. I can't tell you how many locations I've been to in general over all of our customers where they're recording necessary information like those 911 issues on little stickies or a piece of paper that's taped to a desk. And this information is usually not at hand if you need it. So this is a nice place to compile any of your information that you think is top tier. I can add additional fields for your location if you guys need them. Just go ahead and let support at VentureX know so we can work on it. But basically, if you have an after hours emergency contact, if you have a local courier company, local taxis, your elevator maintenance, building security, you have your boiler heater, your insurance information, printer copier vendor, as well as their number. So these are kind of fields that you want to come in and fill in so that your front desk or any of your staff know if they have questions or they need to call one of those people, they can easily navigate to this particular area of your location and find all of this information in one place. Directions to location is also going to be really important. This is where you want to put your directions. Depending on if you're in a city or an urban setting, you might not have a subway stop, and that's okay. So just fill out what is relevant to your location. What will happen is this information can be pulled onto specific emails, kind of like your tour confirmation email. And when you're sending out a tour confirmation email, it would be really nice if you have these kind of driving directions or how to get to your space. So if anything changes, you can always update this and it'll automatically update that email template because it's what we call merge fields that we just use. So anytime you make any changes to any of these fields and they're located either on a website or an email, it'll automatically update without you having to go to other places just for the location itself. And finally, under system information, you want to make sure that the US dollar is selected as well as the time zone that that location is in. Again, it's going to affect the calendars and how customers are booking. You don't want it to say Eastern time when you guys are in CST. The discontinued button under a location is only going to be if your location should close down. It's a way for us to actually keep additional information in the system without allowing anybody to actually activate or access this system. So that's not something we need to worry about now. When you're done entering all the information, you always want to hit save so that you're saving all of the work you just did. I would hate to see you guys navigate out without hitting save. So always remember to do that. Going to space and product groups, what we've done is you guys have worked closely with Rocky going forward on what we call that data upload sheet and putting all of your data into that so we can merge and port it into our system. So as we get them per location, we're updating them into our system, and all of your product groups are listed here. Now, product groups are basically going to be a way that we just group all of your products together so you can easily find the products you're looking for. So as you see, if you just scroll through, these are kind of all of the product groups that the products are going to fall under. Now, if I go back to space and products, here I'll actually be able to see all of the products per location. So if I go and pull up West Palm Beach again, and I walk through the products, I'm going to see that they have all of their private offices. You can see the price that we're charging, also the sales tax, the GL code associated with this. And this is something, again, Rocky was working on, you guys, working with you on this. So this is something I suggest when you guys come into the system, make sure you're viewing your location and just kind of walk through all of the products And just give them a quick once over. Make sure they're labeled the way you want them to. They're falling under the correct product group. The prices look the same. If you're charging sales tax, that it says that instead of non-taxable. And what we'll do is if you find any discrepancies, we'll actually be able to go in and make the changes for you. So just let us know. But again, if it was correct on the sheet, they should be correct here. I always just like you to know where the products are located so you can come in and view them as well. Now, under the member section here, this is going to be probably the most important section or the most used section of the software for you guys. This is where all of your members are going to fall. They're going to fall under accounts. So every time a customer comes into the system, either through a lead, an opportunity, or a current customer, they need to have an account in the system. Then you're going to create contacts that fall under the account, but even if it's just a one-person contact, they still need to be created as an account in the system. So say John Smith comes into your location, you would need him to have an account. If he doesn't have a company name, you would just call the account John Smith, and his contact would be John Smith as well and fall under the account. But just quickly walking through all of your accounts in the system and what they look like. If I go ahead and I pull up this particular customer, I'm just going to walk through what an account looks like. Now, an account record in the system is going to be where you can find everything that's going on with a customer in one spot. It's really great because you don't have to navigate throughout the system to 10 different areas to figure out what's happening. And there are some really important areas of the account that you guys have to keep in mind when you're moving forward with creating a new account in the system for a new customer. So this at a glance section is going to go ahead and ask you who's the owner. So you have the ability to actually put a customer success manager or a specific person to this particular customer that say, okay, you're the owner. You have to always make sure that they're okay when they're due for renewal. Maybe you're the one that's chasing down the renewal. So whoever the owner is associated, and it can be not specified if you're all going to manage them together in one location, but you can again assign a specific owner to this account so that person knows that they're responsible for this particular account. Now the account ID is going to be generated, and it's going to be how we connect the system to your QuickBooks or financial software. The account name is going to be, again, your customer's name or company name. If they don't have a company name, you usually want to use the customer's full name. Their main email address, you have their telephone number here. You can enter their website as well. Each customer needs to have a head main location associated with them. So you want to put who their main location is. The client type is going to be really important in our system. A client type is going to tell your customers, or it's going to tell you how your customers are actually connecting to your facility. So this one is saying that they're a member, a community member. So that's telling us that they purchased a community member plan. That's how they're associated with our system. You might have a member private desk or private office member. So an external member is somebody that might come in and just book a meeting room occasionally. So a client type is always required when you're making an account. Again, because this is how the system knows how it's going to connect to your facility. And different customers are going to have different specialties. You might allow a community member 24-hour access to book meeting rooms in your space, but somebody that's what we call an external member may not have that option because, again, they don't pay you monthly. They're just kind of an ad hoc customer that might book a meeting room occasionally. And those customers might actually get charged a heavier, higher rate than some of your community members. So the client type is really important. You can also see their current balance on their account by just coming here. You can also see it under the accounts receivable, and we'll view that shortly. But in general, the balance is just going to show if they have not paid and how much is currently outstanding. Start date is basically when they join the system. If they have a company number. Now, end date is really important. The end date is going to be added here only when the customer account is going to be terminated. So if a customer has a license or an agreement with you guys and they're terminating their agreement, you want to put the end date on the account the day they're terminating their agreement, and they will no longer be accessing your space. So when they're moving out, that end date should be in there as their move out date. Because what that end date is going to do is, number one, stop all charges after that date from being able to be incurred. This way you're not chasing customers for things that they're trying to purchase after they've already left. And it'll also stop access to your member portal. So those are kind of really important. If you put an end date on there by accident, most likely your customers are going to come to you and tell you, hey, I can't log into the member portal. It's giving me an error message that it doesn't recognize my email address. And again, that's going to be because they're no longer active in the system because you've entered an end date on their account, which means the system thinks that they've actually left your facility. Industry can be really important. Each account should kind of have an industry associated. If you don't see an industry that matches that customer, we can always create a new one. But industry is really neat to start to track on your behalf, because what that will allow you to do is start to run reports, kind of seeing if you should have specific speakers to an industry, if you tend to get a lot of artists in your section, or what may appeal to different people. So keep in mind, industry is not a required field to save this account record, but it is something that you guys might want to look into. And meeting plan is something we'll talk about more on the agreement side, but you can add it at an account level. And basically what we're going to do is create meeting plans, your standard meeting plans in the system. So you give the customers a specific number of hours per month to use for free based on what they're purchasing. And those hours, anything above and beyond that usage, the customers will then be allowed to pay for those in advance. Under the information section, this is going to be the customer's address or registered address. We believe it's really important to always have an address on file. If it's yours, you can put that in as well, but usually they should have a separate registered address as well. Billing details is going to show you the last invoice date that was sent out. If you have a standard payment type or a rental payment type or term, you can enter those here. There's two areas, probably three areas of this section that are really important, and keep this in mind when you're entering accounts into the system. This invoice email here, you always want something filled out in order to save this account. What this does is it tells the system when you raise an invoice, who that invoice should be sent to. You do have a section for a CCC or BCC, so you can go ahead and put in multiple people that the invoice will go to. But again, this is something that you really want to make sure you have filled out, because if you don't put something in here, you will need to manually type this in every time you try to send an invoice out, because the system won't know who it's supposed to go to. So if you put an invoice email here and you want to send them an invoice, it'll automatically put this particular email or the CC or BCCs in as well. This charge tax checkbox is really important as well. This is basically going to tell you if a customer is not tax exempt, they should always have this box checked that you want to charge them tax. It doesn't mean that it will charge them tax on everything, only the products that you guys associated tax with. So if you have products that are non-taxable, just because you have this clicked, it will not mean that it will charge them. It will only charge them tax for products that they currently get taxed on. But this is basically to allow you, if you have a tax exempt client, to uncheck this, and then the system will know to never pull tax through on an invoice. Then we have this on account button. So the on account button should always be checked if a customer has a meeting package associated with their agreement. And what this does is allow the system to go ahead and allow the customer to incur these meeting room charges to be billed on the next bill run. So most of our customers, if a customer has an active agreement in the system, will allow this on account check button to be checked, because what will happen is it'll just, anything above, say, their 4-hour meeting package or 5-hour meeting package, it'll just go ahead and hang that charge on their account. And then when you run the bill run, it'll charge them for their recurring monthly charges, and then these as variable charges as well, all at once. This way you're not sending them a million invoices that they have to go in and pay separately. You also want email invoices checked, because again, it will automatically prompt the system to email this particular person, because you always want them emailed. You can print invoices all the time as well, but again, we try to be green. So if not necessary, and that's not something you guys do, you might want to leave this blank. An include itemized bill is always going to just pull through on the invoice any additional information that you guys have deemed necessary under the products themselves. Now, if you move to financial info, this is something that if you collect information from a customer and you want to keep their bank account name and name of bank, you can do that here. More than likely, we say just ignore this in particular, because what we're going to be doing is moving to a payment processor on the member portal that the customers are going to have to enter this information themselves and agree to terms and conditions associated with that payment processor so that they can move forward with either their recurring monthly bill charge automatically or making these one-time payments. So again, we kept this here for now, but more than likely you guys won't have to enter their bank or financial information because you won't be collecting it anymore because it'll be actually done through the payment processor. And this is something that we might move forward to hide as well in the future if necessary. Under system information, this is something that's updated by the system. You have your creation date, your last update date, and who updated it. The record type is going to be either account, broker, or prospect. So there's 3 types of accounts in our system. If the customer is labeled a prospect account, you know they're currently not a paying customer, that they're under the sales cycle currently, and they're considered an opportunity in the system. So that's something that if you're trying to raise a charge for a customer and they're still recorded as a prospect, it won't work. We also have broker accounts in the system. This lets you put in any of your current broker information so that you can track anything that you need to with the brokers through there. And then we have an account. Now, an account in the system is going to be a paying customer when they have an active agreement or they're just an external member, maybe just raising invoices for one-time meeting room charges. Anytime a person is going to be considered an account, that means they're going to be a paying customer. Account codes in the system are going to be the way you guys can handle your device imports here. Now, when you're doing a device import, we need to map the charges from the device you're importing charges from to this account in the software so that we know that the charges will connect between the 2 systems. So in order to do that, we create what we call account codes. So whatever the code is or account ID is for your call logger or any type of printer that you're pulling the charges in from, you want to make sure that you have an account code that matches on that particular account so it can associate the charges. And then you have activity history. Now, activity history in the system will allow you to log a call and or send an email. When you're logging a call, you're simply going to go in and put information regarding something that you just spoke to this particular customer about. It's always good to keep those back and forth or a record of knowledge in here. You can also hit send an email, and what it'll do is pull up this particular layout here. So it's going to put the only contact email on here. You can also exit and just type in another email address if you need to, and it'll pull it up. Or you can move forward by hitting this select template. So we have the ability to create templates in the system. Now we have a bunch that are automatically generated as well. But what you guys might want to do is you have a specific sales follow-up that you send to every lead. What you can do is send that email to support at VentureX, and we can populate that email in the system for you. So you can easily just search for it, find your template, click into it, and it'll automatically pull it through so you can just send it as such moving forward. You can add attachments to these emails, and then you'll just hit the send button and it'll go out. As you see, it's set up a lot like Word as well. You have your links, your photos you can add, you can change the font, you can undo, you can use the source code if you need to. So it's pretty general, and you guys can do a lot with these emails. But again, any email that's sent initially from our system, all of the replies will be tracked now, so you can rest assured that you don't have to come in and add all that additional information going forward. Now you will see we can add additional contacts on the account. You can have as many contacts associated with that account as you need. I know currently you guys are tracking each individual who comes into your space that's associated with a particular company. So you want to make sure you have all of their contact information here by clicking the new button and just entering their full name, their email address. You can find out their birthday, really whatever you want to track, we can do so under the contacts as well. We have inventory items that you can go ahead and follow through. If you have in that particular office that they're renting, you have specific number of chairs that you left there that you're letting them use, you might want to go ahead and inventory these items so that you know that they were there and what condition they were in, so you don't have to worry if you get them back, or trying to remember if you let them use it and they ran out with them, you might want to charge them. Credit history gives you the ability to add meeting room credits from the system. Currently, you guys are using the hourly package, not credits, so this isn't really something you guys have to worry about. Current charges, if you remember that on account button we just talked about, basically that's going to allow the system or the customer to kind of get charges created that are going to hang on the account until the bill run is complete, and then it's going to bill them for that. So if a customer comes up and they say, you know, hey, front desk, I want to know how many hours I currently have and how much my current charges are or my current balance is. Under current charges will be everything that's hanging on the account that we didn't charge them for yet. Once they're charged, then they'll go under transactions and you can see them there. But under current charges, they'll just kind of sit for the moment so you can see until they're actually billed for those items. Under licenses, what you guys call member agreements, we call licenses in our system. So they're going to be called licenses, but just associate that terminology with what you guys call agreements. And this is where you can enter them if you already have an account. So a license agreement is something that we're going to go over, but basically this is going to be how you're going to set up your recurring monthly charges or an agreement for your customers to sign as well. The notes and attachments section under the account, this is going to allow you to create any notes or put any information that you think a particular customer account needs to record. And then we can also attach any files. By doing that, I'm going to hit the attach file button, and it's going to pull up my desktop or my downloads or anything that I want to pull information onto here. It's really helpful for if you have an agreement that was signed prior to our system, you may want to go in and update them all to your accounts. So you have that signed agreement now in our system located in one specific spot. So it's always there for you guys to access until it's time to renew and create a new one from our system. You might need insurance information there. So really the possibilities are endless, and there's no limit on the amount of notes and attachments you can put here as well. Under tasks, we are a task-based system. So what this will do is allow you guys to create tasks for yourself and or anybody else in your organization or your location. So if you're, and we use this a lot in sales, and this is something that I'll be going over when we hit the sales module, but basically what this will allow you to do is say, okay, this account is due up for renewal in 30 days. So I'm going to create a task. I'm going to assign it to somebody in my location and say, hey, Jennifer, please follow up with this customer in 2 weeks' time to make sure that they're going to be renewing. And if they're not renewing, make sure that they give us notice at that time. And then you're going to assign it to them. They're going to get an email saying that they've now received this task, and they can come up here and manage all of their tasks in one space by marking it complete, marking it in progress. And again, we'll be going over this soon, but now any task that's associated with this particular account or things that people need to do, or yourself, I use them as reminders all the time in our system because it's kind of like your own personal sticky note. You can see them all with what's associated to this particular account or contact pulling through here as well. Opportunities, if a customer started in the system as a lead, moved to an opportunity, and then signed an agreement and is now a current customer with you guys, You will track all opportunities here, so you can see all of the previous opportunities, as well as create new opportunities at any time. Again, in this business, there's always room for upgrade. If they're a current community member, you might want to sell them that office because they're paying for 3 memberships a month. So you guys can move forward with creating opportunities at any time for your upsells, for your renewals, if you want to track them that way, and or for your new leads coming in. All of the previous opportunities that have since been closed will also show here. Standard discounts is a way for us to charge a customer less money by percentage or dollar amount for a specific product at any time. You may at time of signing say that this customer is going to get free color copies. So you want to come in here, hit the new button, and what you want to do is pull up the account name, the specific product, or create the specific product here that you're giving them a discount on. So it could be the data port. And then I'm going to say I'm going to give them a 50% discount, or it could be $50 discount, but usually it's a percentage, a 50% discount on every data port that they pull. You can make it in between a certain time period, but it's not necessary. You can make it for all time by keeping this blank, or you can say for the first 6 months, they get, you know, a free data port every month, or 50% off every data port each month. Once I hit save, what the system will do is automatically update any invoice to receive a 50% off discount for any time a data port is pulled onto an invoice. So it's just a way to kind of discount per customer a specific product if need be. And finally, under transactions here, this will be where all of your customers' invoices and any charges that were charged in general will show up. So if a customer is asking you if they were invoiced for a specific item or when they were charged for something, you can come in here and view all of their transactions that they've been charged for in the past. So that's kind of all of the information that's under an account. It's a lot, but it's really helpful to have all of this information in one location. Again, you're going to manage these areas separately throughout the system, but if you have any questions or your customer has a question, this is a place to come and look so you can see everything all in one place. You do have the ability to create mailing lists and email campaigns within the system. What this will help you do is kind of mass email blast any of your leads, your opportunities, as well as if you're running, you know, a monthly newsletter for your clients. So that's something that the system is able to do as well. And we also have what we call group accounts in the system. So if you have one particular customer that has maybe 3 or 4 separate entities and you want to charge them all at once, you can actually create a group account and then each sub accounts underneath it. So you can charge just one person, but you can also manage each company separately. We also have a reports module here, and basically under the reports module, we have about 150 standard reports that we give you. Everything from your occupancy reports to lead reports to opportunities. You guys can look at what's going to be pulled on the bill runs. Once you guys start adding data to the system, we usually suggest that you come in and all of the reports you're previously running or special reports that you think you need to view, we can either create them within the system. The system's pretty versatile, or you guys can come in and just kind of click through what we currently have here, like your cash books and things like that. And once you start to populate data into the system, it's a good time to come in and start to play around with the reports we offer. And if you need additional information, we can work on creating new ones. Reports can be scheduled to you, so you can go ahead and get them maybe once a month automatically delivered to you so you don't have to come in and pull them. But we do, again, start you off with about 150 standard reports that most of our customers help us create and give feedback to. And we can ultimately create new ones if you feel that these reports are not enough or what you personally need as well. We do have the task section as discussed. We'll be working through how to create one in the sales overview. We also have our calendar here. What the calendar is going to do is show your location and your current meeting spaces and who is booked on the member portal, you are able to book specific meeting spaces moving forward. And they can also see on their end, or you can see on your end, you can override anything, and we'll kind of go into more detail here, but this is what your calendar is going to look like and how you can manage it on your end.